Hello and welcome. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands upon which we all meet. As we are dialing in from all over Australia, we must cross many nations. Today, I sit on the lands of the Gundagara people. I pay my respect to all elders, past, present and emerging, of all the lands upon which we meet. My name is Sophie Taylor-Price, and I am a geographer by training and sustainability consultant. My grandfather was Bob Hawke, who launched Landcare 30 years ago because he firmly believed in the importance of all Australians coming together to care for country. Over the past year, I've stepped into the Landcare Ambassador role as a way of continuing our shared passion for the Australian landscape. About this time last year, we dreamed up an event that would empower, inspire and ignite young people to take land caring action. And thus, the concept of the Landcare Youth Summit was born. Originally, we were meant to be having the event back in April this year, but like almost every other aspect of our lives, we were forced to pause, pivot and adapt to the strange new normal. So how we did that was this last Tuesday December 1st, we hosted the summit virtually, and we had 40 students from year 11 and 12 joining us from 20 schools and community groups across Australia. There was an inspiring cast of young people sharing how they lived land care in action, and an army of volunteers who donated both their time and their wisdom. A quick breakdown of the event is it was broken down into two parts, really. The first was a series of panels that were designed to inspire young people and invite them to think laterally about how they can take action and make an impact on a local, national and global level. The second half was a series of workshops, which was about giving them the tools and the processes and guidance on how to activate their passion. As we can't come together for the National Landcare Conference this year, we're delighted to be able to bring you a series of webinars which include topics from each of the conference streams. And these are to take place between now and August next year. In today's session, we're bringing you some of the superstars of our Youth Summit to share with you some of the key takeaways from the event and talk about how we can be harnessing this passion of youth. Everyone here today is linked to an awesome group called YACA. Love saying it. YACA stands for Youth and Community Conservation Action, and it is an organisation that is led by young people for young people. Joining us today are three other panellists. We have Saskia, who is the 2019 Young Leader Award at the South Australian Landcare Awards. Saskia developed YACA as a way of getting young people involved in environmental projects. She also works with local primary school children through the EnviroKids program, coordinates the Willinga Trees for Life group, and last year she also ran for council. Very impressive. Hi Saskia, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Also joining us today is Skye Dunn and Mitch Livington. Skye is 16 years old, an active member and leader at YACA, a school student who is also doing her diploma in conservation and, to top it all off, about to publish a book. Mitch is a fellow YACA member, also combining school and a diploma to create a career pathway in conservation. But before we get stuck into the conversation, just a little bit of housekeeping. We would love to hear all your comments and read your questions through the session, and we'll have some time to address some of these as we go. To submit a comment or question, you'll need to be signed into Landcare, and then you can type into the comments box underneath the webinar screen. If you're watching in full screen mode, you'll need to exit the full screen mode to see the comments box. Handy hint. If you have tech issues, if you're signed into Landcare, click on the green help button on the bottom left for live chat support, or if you're not signed into Landcare, email hi@landcarer.com. Saskia, I'm going to hand over to you to interview Mitch and Skye.
All right. right. So like Sophie mentioned, we are part of a group called Yakka. And basically the idea of Yakka is to give young people an opportunity to work environmental projects, but also connect to existing Landcare projects. So Skye and Mitch and I are going to be having a bit of a chat about that. But before we start talking about ways that groups can engage young people like yourselves, I wanted to ask you guys, what are some of the projects you guys have been working on recently?
Awesome. Thank you, Saskia. So we've got a lot of projects going on right now, and Yakka has been running for 6 years, so there's been a lot happening and a lot of developing projects, but one of the big ones we're working on now is publishing a book. So we recently got a grant to design a plant identification book for the area we're living in. So that will include photos that we've taken ourselves, drawings, information about all the plants down to the tiny stems and veins of the leaves. So pretty complex, but it's really exciting. And yeah, so we're all working together on that one, and hopefully it will be published in the next few months. We've also have so many existing sites. So we've worked at every single planting day that has been run. So we've worked at Stippy Tourist Conservation Park, we've worked at Kaima, we've worked in Wollonga itself around where we're centred at the Wollonga Environment Centre. So we've planted thousands and thousands of trees together, and it's just really exciting to see over 6 years how much just a small group of kids can make a difference, which is really exciting. So I think Mitch is going to tell you a bit more about our main project we're working on.
Thanks, Guy. Our big project and our awesome opportunity that we have at the moment is that last year we received a big grant of money to work on the Aldinga wash pool, which is a really important area on our local coastline. And we received lots of money to help connect the local community and garner our local Indigenous elders back to the Aldinga wash pool through environmental means. And that's been a really awesome big project that we've all been working on for a long time, and we're going to keep working on it right through next year, and we're going to get some pretty good outcomes. We've also worked with private landholders, so we've had people who say, hey, I've got bandicoots on my property, I have no habitat for bandicoots, can you help us out? And it's really cool to be able to help out local people in our area and be like, hey, you know, we got some spare plants, we can come and plant for you, and hopefully we can then encourage endangered bandicoot populations. So yeah, lots of little projects going on.
They're all really great. And what I really love about these projects is they're so self-led by yourself and Skye and the other Yakka members. I was wondering if you could tell the audience a bit about why it's important for young people to have a bit of control and lead the projects that they're working on.
Yeah. It's super important to get the actual people who are doing it to run it. So when you have someone, it's the classic school scenario. Your teacher's going to tell you to do something, you're not going to want to do it. So basically, if someone can come up with an idea and then have people supporting them but not running it, so you're the one running it, you can actually feel like you're in charge and you're making a difference with these people, not against these people. And so it's really, and it makes you have responsibility for what you're doing. So it's, if you're coordinating all these plants, like 1,000 plants, you're going to have to do it. Like, so you have to, it really helps you gain confidence as well. So that's why I love running and planning events, because I can actually see the change, and I can see that I can make a difference, which is really cool. So yeah. Mitch?
Yeah, no, Skye said it. Having the responsibility and then achieving that is some of the best feeling.
That's brilliant. I guess what we're seeing from you guys today, and what we also saw throughout the Landcare Youth Summit, and also with the climate strikes and a whole heap of other activism happening through Australia at the moment, is that young people are super engaged with environmental issues. They want to see solutions. They want to be a part of this. But what we're also noticing going alongside this is that there's not a lot of young people joining existing environmental groups. I was just wondering if we could get your thoughts as to why we're not seeing so many young people in these groups.
Yeah, good question. So it is quite scary. So you can go out to all these, you can have so much anxiety and so much drive and passion and morals, and you go, I just want to fix it so badly, and you just want to go out, and there's so many kids who do want to fix it. Like, everyone is getting more aware. There's like community, like youth engagement isn't an issue anymore. We have to look past that now. We have to say, look, here's what you can do. And I don't think there are existing youth groups, definitely, but they're not awesomely, like, there's not heaps of them, and sometimes they're led by not youth. So it kind of, you get too tentative towards it. You say, I don't, sometimes it's hard to break into that, but it is really important to know that you can. And once you're in, it's a lovely and amazing group of people who just want to help you and just want to, they have the same passions as you do. And it's really supportive group. Like, I came in, I walked into the environment centre and said, hi, can I join your meeting? And there was 10 people going, yes, come, tell me what you think. And it's just a beautiful environment, and everyone should get involved. Definitely.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a discrepancy between the amount of young people that are really concerned about environmental issues and the amount of young people that are involved in an environmental youth group. And I think that is impacted by, you see all these global issues on your phone and, you know, on Instagram and stuff. You'll see all these horrible things and this terrible footage of all this plastic on this beach, or pandas or tigers, and it's really easy to get overwhelmed and not know what to do, especially because all these global issues get the headlines. But what you can do and what every individual can do is in their local community. And I think it's really easy to overlook those because they don't see, you know, litter in the park doesn't seem as a bigger issue, but it's a way for you to help. And so I definitely think that's why lots of young people aren't as involved, is because there seems to be more pressing matters abroad, I think.
I love that answer, because it is definitely how you feel as a young person. You're so stressed and anxious about your future, but then also it's kind of scary and you don't know where to start. I guess on the other side of that, so let's say that there's, you know, environmental groups and representatives watching today, and they're wanting to welcome young people into their groups. What are some go-to ways that they can make their groups more welcoming and exciting for young people?
So I think definitely having the right platforms of accessibility. So a lot of teenagers obviously turn to social media. There's heaps of stuff. There's you can see what's halfway around the world, but they don't read the newspaper, right? So it's kind of difficult if there's monthly newsletters going up, but they're not accessible to all teenagers or schools. It's not environmental education. Practically, it's not a part of our curriculum. It is definitely hard to integrate yourself into teenagers' lives, but definitely if there was more publicity around your group or around the people that are doing things for your group, or even photos. Photos are a massive thing. Like, once we had a newsletter go out, and there was heaps of photos of us actually doing things. Like, we're actually putting plants in the ground, and you can actually see change happening, and that was really inspiring for a lot of people. So just opening up your community events or ideas to people will come back to you and say, this is what I'm concerned about. And it doesn't stop there. You have to continue the communication. You have to listen to what people want to do, like what they're interested in and what they actually want to achieve, and hopefully you can support them in the best way you can. But yes, definitely become, like, if you can, try new things, tell people, not just tell people, but show people what you can do, and they will get really excited by it. Yeah.
I think definitely to welcome and encourage young people as well. I think a really good way is to involve the social element, to a youth group, for example, you know, we would finish school for the day and come to Yakka, and there's a group of like-minded people our age. We have loads of ideas that I didn't even think about. Like, sometimes you rock up to Yakka and go, hey, I don't know what I can do, or, you know, I'm not feeling so creative today. But there's other people there that are similar to you that can motivate you to keep going, and people can talk to, and you want to go because you want to see your friends at Yakka or your group. So I definitely think promoting it is a fun, this is a group thing, rather than, you know, come join this preset, say, hey, this, we've got something for you. Like, I definitely think a social fun element is really what keeps people coming back.
Yeah, and to add to that, Mitch, I think it's doom and gloom. Like, there are actually really good things going on in the world, and sometimes in the news all you see is like destruction, mayhem, and it kind of makes you go, wow, that's a really big problem that I can't solve, so why would I even try? And sometimes it's really daunting. And so these youth groups, once you get into them, they like having a casual fun aspect to it, going, look, we're not going to solve climate change in a day, but you know what we can do? We can go on the beach and we can clean up the whole beach in an hour. Like, and that, seriously, it's cheesy, but it seriously does make a difference. Like, I like even just looking at it and going, oh my God, I planted that woodland over there. Like, there are real tangible things you can do, and it's not all scary. It's actually really fun. So I guess having a less serious approach to it and more of a conversational, hey, we can do this kind of attitude is definitely will hope a lot of young people.
I really like that, because I think it's a lot about changing the story. You know, like we've always sort of heard, even with young people, like it's this, oh, you know, kids these days always on their phone and all that. And as young people yourselves, you guys have had to help change that story by, you know, going out and proving yourselves as really capable young people. And now I think we kind of need to change that story of environmental issues to it's something that we can work together as a community, rather than just something that it's really bad and that's it. So I really love those answers. The last question I have for you guys today is if there's any young people out listening today, what are some of the things they can do and some groups that they could join to be involved? And yeah, how can they make a more environmental difference?
Do you want to take this on, Mitch?
Yeah, sure. I would definitely say, and it's obviously dependent on where you live, but look local, because it's your local people, your neighbours, your people that might run a group, people that might help you start a group, the people that you can talk to, your friends. That's what starts a group that continues. So definitely in your own town, have a look, because there's always more than you'd think in your area. And if there's no group down, well, then there's a demand for one. And I definitely think, just look at your own area in a new perspective and go, hey, what can I do? What's a problem? What do I see every day on the bus to school or that I don't like? And what can I do to change it? Because you can only do what you can do, like in your area. I think it's very, very hard to, you know, fly to a different country and help out there. Like, you can definitely do that, but I would definitely say look in your own community and what you'd like to change.
Amazing.
Just to add to that, like sometimes if there are no groups and there isn't any means to start a group, which there always is, but just as a side thing, even starting small, like through Yakka, I don't even know if Yakka was formed yet, but a bunch of kids got around and we politely harassed the shop owners of Wollonga Street and said, hi, you're not allowed to do plastic straws anymore. That's just it. And they listened, which was really surprising, but good. So even going up and down, and we collected cardboard boxes that we could find from anywhere. and we wrote 10-cent recycling on them and gave one to every store in Wollonga, and now they get so much income from that and so much recycling happening from just that one step, like people just throwing their cans in the right spot. So even if you think something's not going to work, try it anyway. Keep trying until something happens, something clicks with someone, because it will. And people are more concerned than you think, and no one's going to turn down a positive environment, like environmentally positive initiative, because they're mean. Like, no one's going to do that. So all you need to do is just step out there and say, hey, I'm concerned about litter, recycling, endangered fauna, and just Google it or talk to someone. There's a lot of wisdom around, and there's a lot of people around that have lived a lot, like they're older than, and they're not just criticism, but also bring a new passion and drive to your community. It will seriously matter.
You guys are amazing. I can't wait until you guys are the Prime Minister of our country, honestly. Thank you so much for your time. And also thank you so much for all the work you do for our community. It's outstanding.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys, so much for that. And Saskia, I think those two are very much a testament of the hard work and great organisation that you have been setting up. So now it's my turn to turn the mic on you and ask you a little bit about your work. So thanks, Skye and Mitch, for answering all of Saskia's questions.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Those two are so impressive. And
goodness.
I know.
I'm just sitting here like, don't tear up, don't tear up.
You must be very proud.
I'm so proud.
Now it's time to ask about you and Yakka. And really the idea is to see, you know, how can we all learn from the success of Yakka in terms of engaging future participants and members. So the first question is, before we start talking about ways groups can engage young people, I wanted to first ask, no, that's the question that you are asking, Skye.
You stole it.
Sorry for that technical issue. Question one, why should Landcare and other conservation groups try to engage young people?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of groups really can see the value in young people. They have such fantastic ideas. Every time I get the Yakka kids around the table, I'm always blown away by the new ideas and the new approach that they bring to a project. It's really lovely to see these fresh ideas come because you sort of, I guess you say, we've been trying the way that we've been going about it for a while now, and we're not seeing the results we need yet, so why not try these new ideas? I also think it's really important to bring young people into this conversation because they're the ones whose future we're looking at here, so they really have a vested interest in what the outcomes are. So you know you're going to get a lot of good work out of them. And I mean, at the end of the day, on a real technical level, it's good contingency planning. A lot of these groups are, I don't want to generalize, but in our group, our region, there's a lot of volunteers who are sort of semi-retired or retired completely. And we don't want to see that knowledge disappear or be lost from our environmental communities. We want young people to continue to be able to bring that knowledge through and keep the work going and learn from these older generations and grab those skills and, you know, bring that legacy forward. So I think there's so much value in having young people as part of projects. And yeah, I'm almost shocked that we haven't seen more of it yet.
Yeah, no, and I think we're on the same page, and it speaks to, I guess, the origins of the Youth Summit. And it was my line of questioning to some of the people that I was speaking to. And, you know, my question, you know, what's your succession plan? Looking at the people who are active in Landcare at the moment, I didn't see that sort of younger profile ensuring that there was another 30 years of active members, caring for land. And so I know it was a challenging question, but it's led to some really good outcomes because, engaging people more, and as you say, bringing their innovation and their new way of thinking is delivering results. So I'm glad to hear that you and I are both on the same page there. So in terms of members of groups who may be tuning in today, how can they attract young people to their groups? And what's different or unique in the approach that Yakka has taken compared to other land caring or conservation groups?
Yeah, I'll start with the second half of the question. So Yakka started as a way to have it as a group for young people, driven by young people. So the whole premise of the group was to fulfill youth objectives. It was when I first started, I was about 7 years younger and just out of high school. And the idea was that we had a young person leading a group of young people throughout their environmental goals. And that's always sort of been the way we've tried to carry it through. We've always had the kids come to us with the ideas, and we try and best facilitate that forward for them. That's sort of the way our model has worked. And that's been really positive for us because, like Skye Mitch were mentioning before, they have this level of engagement. You feel a level of responsibility for your sites. There's very much a sense of pride. So by having young people at the forefront of these projects has really been a benefit for us. It's better for the contingency of the projects. I guess that's not always the same when you've got an established Landcare group or other volunteer organisations. Sometimes they've been built around an existing site or existing outcomes. So it's sort of hard to say, oh, well, we're just going to grab all these young people on board and let them tell us what they want to do. But there is definitely ways you can get young people involved in existing projects and organisations. I think never underestimate the power of a good bio blitz or a planning day or an open day. We always attract a lot of kids by saying, here's a creek, here's a net. Off you go, have a look and see what bugs you can find. Kids are desperate to learn and be involved in their environment and be a part of it. It's I think in the past we've always sort of said to kids, oh, we'll sit around a table and I'm gonna tell you about some things. What we find works better is when you go out to the kids and say, go out there and come back and tell me what you found. And that's how you start to foster that interest. I think it's really important to do that. For older kids, I guess we sort of offer experience for them. That's how we try and attract them so they can put it on their resumes. But again, I think the power of good field work, open days and interactive projects is, you can never underestimate it.
Great. And do you get most of your new members through word of mouth, or how do they find out about you?
A bit of everything. We have an online presence that we sometimes get members come through. A lot of kids bring their friends. Kids are really good at recruiting for you. Build it and they will come. We started off with 5 kids. We've got over 40 now. We've been, we're in a pretty small town. We've got a good percentage of young people involved. Kids are very good at recruiting for you, especially if you make it fun and engaging for them. They want to bring their friends. You should come do this. It's so much fun. And, word gets out. So really, we don't have to do much in the way of recruiting. We let it happen on its own.
Yeah, it was funny. I was doing an interview for ABC Radio on Tuesday about the Youth Summit, and I got interviewed by the Adelaide station. And it was a pre-record, so there was a kid who was reading out interview questions to me, and I was talking about the event, and I mentioned Yakka, and his voice lit up. He's like, I know Yakka. They came to my school. They were awesome.
That's amazing.
So, you definitely have some advocates out there. I just thought it was a brilliant small world that I mentioned you. And
that's Adelaide for you, though.
So you've got a reputation. So my next question, for those of you who are tuning in, how can you keep those young people engaged?
Yeah. So
you get them once you've got them in?
How do you hold them? Yeah, look, we use cake. No, but I think keeping their ideas as part of your activities is a really important part. Like Skye Mitch said, it's hard as a young person to sort of come in, you've had a big day at school, you meet, everyone's talking, no one's listening to you, you're going to get disheartened and not want to contribute so much. So I think it's really about bringing their ideas onto the table, making sure that they're a heard and seen part of your community and your community group. Also in that is just some logistical things that we've found. Keep it consistent. You know, if you're saying, oh, we're going to meet on a Monday and then a Thursday and then, you know, once every Tuesday or so and so, it doesn't work with their timetables. Kids go to school. You know, they can't meet at 11 o'clock on a Wednesday. Kids have soccer. They can't do planning days, you know, at 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning. You've got to kind of have a good routine that works with young people. Also, what I found with some of the other groups I worked with is they meet at really bad times. Like, you know, it's 7:30 on a weeknight. Most kids are sort of, they're getting ready to go to bed. They're doing homework. It doesn't help them attend these meetings. So I think part of it is opening a space where kids feel that they're welcome but also can attend. I think it's a really important logistical bit. On a bit more of the sort of, I guess, the fundamentals and the ethics of the group, I guess, is just letting kids influence the work, giving them an opportunity to be a part of the group, giving them an opportunity to like improve their resumes. As I'm sure a lot of the viewers today, like you guys have probably been involved in these projects for a long time. You've got some really great knowledge. Share that. Like kids are desperate to learn. They really want to know how they can help and how they can be a part of your community and help out. So I think it's really important to involve them, mentor, but don't talk down. It's sort of a, I've given a lot of mixed advice and all over that. It's really just about creating a welcoming space for kids.
We want to make some time to ensure that we can answer some questions coming from viewers today. But a quick one, we've touched on a little bit, but what are the like don't do's or key mistakes in terms of engaging young people?
Yeah, I guess some of that I've touched on quickly, but I guess like bad timing is a really big one. Like we make sure that we meet on the same day every week and our weekend activities are always on a Sunday afternoon, like when kids are free. So that really works. But I think it's more about like a lot of groups don't facilitate activities that are engaging. I've seen a lot of groups that are pretty heavy on speakers and sort of having these talks, which is really great. But if you're a kid who's been listening to a teacher all day at school and then you come into a community group and they've got a guest speaker who's going to talk to you for another hour, like it's not happening. Even as like I was a uni student, like, oh man, I can't do this. So I think it's really about trying to make sure that it's engaging and you're keeping them engaged, putting their ideas forward and making sure that they feel valued. The key mistakes people make is sort of overwhelming kids, like sort of saying, you have to do this, you have to do that, this is really bad, this is really negative, you know, and talking down to kids is another key issue I see a lot. A lot of people sort of say, oh, you know, you kids and your iPhones, you know, and you're like, oh, yeah, this is our generation. This is how we live. And I think it's about accepting that we are a new generation and we have different outcomes and different projects that we're passionate about, but we also have different ways of getting there. And I think it's really important for a lot of groups to start incorporating that mindset into their groups.
Yeah, some great advice. We might bring the others back because I'm going to take some questions from the panel now, or sorry, from the audience now. Let me just have a look at what's come through. Question from Katie. My volunteer projects are remote. How do you get that local connection for youth and to those projects?
Ooh. I think what Skye was saying about social media and making things more accessible online has a lot of weight there. Do you have any thoughts on that, Skye?
Yeah, so because it is a tricky one when you're quite remote. If you even get input from you through social media or through you put out a post or contact a local newspaper or something, you can say, look, this is what we're doing and we want youth input. Are there any ideas? And even if you can't get kids to where you are and to do the actual work, sometimes it's including kids in the decision making, because a lot do have experience and they want experience, so they will write you back and they will say, look, I've got this really cool idea, and you can say, yep, cool, I'm going to implement that in my project, thank you so much. And even that, having that small connection will make them go back to you when you can get more, even if you aren't remote always, they'll go back to you and they'll say, hey, have you got any more projects? And there's always a helping hand out there. So I reckon, yeah, definitely social media is a great platform nowadays to do that. But yeah, so I think hopefully that covers your question.
I guess it also depends how remote. Like if we're talking hours remote, obviously this is going to change my answer, but with us we find that sometimes it's really hard to get kids places when their parents can't always drop them off, so helping out with lifts and rides and creating, say we're going to meet at this location but I can carpool or whatnot, really helps get kids out when you can't always get them there through their folks. We found that's helped a lot with attendance.
I definitely think a fun thing to do, whether it's feasible or not, it's a different thing, but you could be like, hey, come camp for a night out remote, you learn all this stuff. Condition is you do a bit of this volunteering work. Like, I don't think maybe remote, regular volunteering or group isn't the best model. Maybe events or, you know, I go to camping because I think that would be fun, but maybe that's more suitable to that sort of work.
Awesome suggestion, guys. Reminder to the audience, if you want to ask these fabulous people a question, please do so in the chat. I am going to go to Mary. So Mary wanted to ask a question directly to Skye and Mitch. How do you get the confidence to know what trees to plant and what animals in your area need help?
Great question. So I was initially, when I did get into this stuff, I didn't know anything, absolutely nothing. I didn't know what global warming was until Saskia went, sit down, I'm telling you. So it was very daunting at the start, but I did, I had a lot of supportive people around me, like Saskia, like Karen, Saskia's mum, who's just absolute legend. She got me into a TAFE course. So Mitch and I actually met in our certificate 2 for conservation and land management. So we sat down in that class, and heaps of the units are plant identification, fauna rescue, just learning about your local environment. So there are units and stuff you have to complete, but you can tailor it to where you live or where you are. So and just experience, I really think it's just experience, just going out and saying, hey, what's that plant? Or, hey, what can I do about this? And people, especially seeking out older people or people with knowledge, they will definitely jump on the chance to tell you what that is or how to do something about it. So just asking questions and doing it rather than sitting and looking at a textbook saying how to do it. Really getting out there and actually walking through the parks, you get to know them, you just get used to it, and one day it just really clicks, which is really cool. Mitch, do you have anything else on that?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent question, and we've definitely heard horror stories of people meaning well but planting the wrong plants or just botching something, and so I think it's definitely really important and great that you asked to consider, because yeah, you don't want to go out and be planting trees that weren't there. And I definitely think it helps to have an educational background or someone who's educated, involved, and environmentally educated, involved. You know, it's not possible for everybody to go do a TAFE course that we've done. Local Department of Environment and Water, they've got rangers, they've got education people. Definitely reach out to whatever sort of government or legislative body you have around, because they do employ people whose role is community engagement and whose role is to help you. Lots of organisations really want volunteers. They want youth involved. So I definitely think reaching out to the intellectuals in your area and asking, hey, is there a plant list for this area? Is there a vegetation association we could go off? Here's what we're looking at doing. So definitely, you don't have to have all the answers, but find the people that do.
Awesome. I just need to apologise, anyone, if there's a funny noise in the background. It's because my dog is snoring very, very loudly. Very embarrassing. Look, we have time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions. This is a great one to, again, Skye Mitch. And I already know the answer to this one, but I hope that I think that people will find it interesting. And it's a question about whether you'd like to find a career in this, or it's something that you want to keep as a passion and hobby.
Yeah, Mitch, you want to start on that one?
Yeah, definitely. I would absolutely love the environmental career. I think it would be extremely rewarding, and definitely it will always be my passion no matter what I end up doing. You know, I've met friends for life doing this sort of stuff. So I definitely would love to be a park ranger or someone really cool like that. So yeah, definitely this is what I'm into, and I'll keep doing it for as long as I can.
Awesome. Skye?
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. Once you get in, you can't get out. It's really rewarding, and I really do want to be a project officer. So working with maybe a government body or Landcare or something like that, one of those organisations. A project officer for me, that's when people come to you with their land and say, hey, do you have any ideas on what I can do with this? Or someone comes to you with, hey, I should revegetate this land. How do I do it? That would be my dream job. But also anything with the environment, I'll absolutely dive in. Love to learn about everything environment related. It's seriously a massively rewarding area to work in. So yeah.
You guys are so awesome, and I'm sure that you'll find very rewarding careers in the work that you do. Thank you both for joining us today. It's really inspiring, and I hope that people who are watching can just see how much they can get from having a Skye and a Mitch in their group as well. So thanks for giving them lots of great tips and tricks. Unfortunately, we lost Saskia to some technical difficulties, so I can't say thanks to her face to face. But thank you, Saskia, for everything that you did in helping with today's webinar. It's been fantastic. Thank you, everyone who attended or registered today. We'll be circulating an email this afternoon with a link to the recording in case you missed it. Keep an eye out on Landcare Australia's social channels and newsletters for news of more webinars. But thank you for everyone for joining today. Bye for now, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Thank you so much.